Good afternoon and welcome to another episode of our live market overview. Today I am joined by none other than Bilo, the former bear, and we also have a special guest, Harry Sharp from the Adapt Group. Good afternoon, gentlemen. How are we doing?
Hello, everyone.
Yo.
Nice to have you here, Harry.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
So we'll start off by the usual overview of what's been happening over the past few months. We've all seen this bull run up to the $64,000 all-time high, which culminated in an ending wave diagonal 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which, despite how bearish that looked, people were in a state of hopium, and many got hurt with this massive ABC correction down to 28K. This all happened around the period where there was the Elon tweet, the China FUD, and the IRS news. From there, we were in this, what we called an accumulation channel, similar to the Wyckoff accumulation theory, almost to the T. Since then, we've bounced off, this being wave 1, 2, and we're on our way up. We are now in a location where we are going to be experiencing resistance. It's only normal. We have two places to draw our Fibonacci levels from. Wave B down to wave C, and as we can see, we've exceeded the 618, 65 area. We're now testing again the 705, but I think that a more important level would be the top of wave 5, which means that we still have some struggle ahead of us as the 618 is just now being tested. And this one actually is my preferred one because the 618 is the most looked after ratio in Fibonacci retracements. That being said, we've mentioned several times in the chat and in Crypto Society TA channel that there is not, in our opinion, at least in mine, there's not a lot of room for a crash here anymore. The reason for this is that there are a lot of supports below us. In order for us to have gotten where we got from this accumulation channel, we had put together 3 or 4 criteria that have all been met. The first criteria was exceeding the 200 EMA on the 4-hour, which was met. The second criteria was exceeding the 200 EMA on the daily, which was also met. The third criteria was exceeding the top of the previous grand cycle wave 3 at around 42K, which was also met. And then the final criteria, which is the 200 simple moving average right here, the yellow line, has also been met and has acted as decent support. So if you take all these different and very important supports into account, the fact that they're all below us, the fact that the EMAs are now finally in the correct order, meaning low to high, low being on top, high being at the bottom, we have tremendous support in front of, below us. What's going to happen here, guys, is for sure we have a lot of resistance ahead of us. But what's important to take note of is this is a period where we could see a lot of stability. Relatively speaking, it is Bitcoin, but relatively speaking, a lot of stability for Bitcoin. What that means is when Bitcoin is stable is that alts are going to pump. So we mentioned this last time during the live TA. We had a post on this right after the last TA in our TA channel, and essentially calling that we have the potential for an alt market due to this stability. I hope you guys follow the TA channel. It is an important source of information. It's the collective thought process of Crypto Society's TA guys and sometimes individual thought process. But for the most part, we have generally agreement, consensus on what's going to happen. These support levels are discussed here, and the reasoning behind it is there if you want to check it out. Back to the chart. One thing to take a note of, and that's mentioned in that previous post, is that we have a very obvious, let me just put my charts back, a very obvious bearish divergence. So the bearish divergence, guys, is when we have higher highs on the price action, but we're making lower highs on the oscillator, both in this case, RSI and MFI. I like to use both because sometimes MFI speaks a bit more accurately than RSI does for the price and the volume. So this is important because as long as we don't break above this line, and it's a very important line, and even for anyone to follow and check, we are potentially at risk of breaking down because of this bearish divergence. Keeping in mind what I said earlier, even if we do break down, it's not going to be a crash like previous because people are still, their memories are still here. Nobody wants to experience this again. So people are more cautious in how they're leveraging. The reason why you have crashes like this is because of leverage trades and not spot trades necessarily. What happens is people enter into FOMO, bull market, 50 or 100x leverage trades. And what ends up happening is their stop losses are met or they're liquidated. And this results in providing a tremendous amount of liquidity in the market on the downside. And you end up having this flash crash. That's exactly what it is. So because of this caution, because of, people's memories are still kind of, this is fresh. They're still hurt by what happened and remember it. I believe that the leverage market is not as hopium based as it was back when this crash happened, and people are more careful. And the price action of Bitcoin reflects that people are careful. You don't see that we're going above this RSI. That means that the volume is just not there. This caution is warranted because of precisely this bearish divergence, and also because we're still below the 618 Fibonacci extension. Excuse me. This caution is also a good thing because, as I said, it's buying us some stability with the tremendous. I don't know if you can read them. With the tremendous supports that we have below us, it is buying us that stability for which the alt market can take off from here. This is as far as I have to say so far about Bitcoin. We did post some projections. Let me see if I can just find them. Elliott wave projections for Bitcoin were pretty simple, but the target is about 55K, and I'll explain to you why. I just need to find the chart. Here it is. So forget about waves 4 and 5. It's premature. It's just that I can't get rid of them. But essentially, wave 3 in a Elliott wave 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 typically sits around 1.618 to 2.618 that of wave 1, 2. So the fact that we are approaching 1.618 right now, and I'll just redraw this so you guys can see how it's done. So for those unfamiliar, Fibonacci extensions are just ratios that we see in the market, guys, okay? So 1.618 of wave 1, 2 brings us to about 60. But I believe that the major resistance, I'm just trying to find this here. The major resistance we're going to encounter is about in this region here. And we see that it's a spike on the VPVR, which just shows us where there's the most interest in buying and selling. And when we're below VPVR, it's resistance. And when we're above it, it's support. So we are right now, as you can see, above this area, which also is going to act as support. We're here. So there's a pocket which is gonna allow Bitcoin to propel to that region. And that's why I placed my wave 3 here rather than normally I would place it here, because I don't think we're gonna make it straight up there. So a test of 55K is what I'm expecting. And we are currently, as you could see, in this not the perfect channel, but then again, they're never perfect, but it is a channel. It's had quite a few contacts on both the upper and the lower bands of the channel, and we'll see what happens from there. But we aside from the bearish divergence, these charts do look good. And for me, the worst case scenario is a little bit of an up and down, but buying us some stability for the alt market to go further. That's all I have on Bitcoin. I don't know if anybody has any comments, additions, or questions. Harry, feel free, please.
No, I think that's pretty good. If you want me to share my chart, I don't mind doing so.
Please
I
do.
analyze the market a little bit differently.
Go
So maybe
ahead.
we can have two analysis.
Absolutely.
And you can just see how I basically look at the markets. It's
Sure.
a different way. So
Yeah, please do that. I'm going to stop sharing and you can share yours.
thank you. So just gonna bring the screen up. Just give me a second.
Sure.
Loving the fact that in your picture you're holding up Bitcoin and Ethereum.
Yes.
You're missing Solana, Shari.
All right. I'm sure you can see my screen now.
Yeah.
Great, great. All right. So how I look at the charts is I look at the charts a little bit different. And basically what I do is I start from the weekly time frame here. And I look at pure candles. All right. So looking at pure candles, basically what I'm seeing here is, you see, we've had weekly buying pressure, right? But basically from this weekly buying pressure, what you notice here is that this is just market structure. This is a high, this is a low, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low. We had a scary area here where I thought price was going to roll over at this resistance, right? And this is why that week was very, very important, because if you notice, we didn't break the low. So market structure, just from a weekly standpoint, has no point of it being bearish. You can see we tapped this resistance here that I drew quite nicely, and I'm finding some struggle to get above, right? And basically what I see from here is, since we've taken out the high, we've basically made a higher high, right? So looking at the weekly, this structure is telling me that price does want to continue up from this point here, especially closing this weekly in 9 hours here. If we can just close above this candle body, which is coming in at 49,297 on the exchange I'm using, then for me, I do think that price should continue up. Now, what I do is always look left, right? So when you're looking left here, we have a clean candle here to the left. What that means is that price was, price found it easy to drive down in this spot. Similar, after getting above this resistance, which you could consider this not getting above, right? We should see price continue up on a weekly time frame. So this could take 2 to 3 weeks to up towards this top side of the resistance. Now, I do agree what you said. In between, we can have some trouble, and that is definitely more relevant on the lower time frame. So then what I do is, after we've analyzed the weekly, I drop down to the daily time frame. Now, for me, if you look at the daily here and we clear up some of these lines here and just make this chart nice and clear here. And what we can see is we have this rejection zone here, which is coming above this resistance here, because in the past, we have seen that this 51,300 has been a resistance level. It's been support here and support here. So for me, getting and closing above this area should drive price up naturally to your 55.9, which is now we're coming into confluence based on my analysis, right? So if I'm analyzing this, this is where I think I would see the next resistance is going to be here at 59. I do think that price can drive quite nicely up to that area there based on this clean move towards the downside. But for me, we need to close a daily candle above this area here, right? And now same concept. Yeah, exactly. So same concept we had on the weekly. Remember, we had this pause candle and we still haven't broken the low. So if we do break the low coming at 49.5, this does look worrying on the lower time frames. And probably if you drop down to the 4 hour, you'll see that is a relevant support level. And that is coming right in this zone here, right? So from the daily time frame, we can see this zone. So daily will change structure right below that 49,000 level. And if we do break down from this 49 level, I do see us coming down to 46,000. And to be honest, at that point, I think we will come and fill the whole range, because if you look on a 12-hour time frame here, what I do is I trade in ranges. So this is your range 1 right here. Your range 2 will be here. And when price fakes out back into the range, there's a very high chance, it's an 85% chance, but this number on Bitcoin, when I back tested it, I found it was an accuracy of like 75%, but when I trade other markets like Forex and stuff, it's actually an 85% to fill the whole range. Here's an example of when price faked out here. It broke out of the range. Once it came back in the range, there was an 85% chance of filling the top of the range. So we got that fill of the range, and then a 75% chance to break out of the range, and we eventually did break out.
That is very interesting. I'd like maybe for you to share with us how these percentages, is that back testing that you've done?
Yeah, back testing. So on Forex, one of the when I trade Forex, because I trade Bitcoin, but I'm looking more long-term in Bitcoin as for my positions in trading. But for Forex, I trade that daily. And this is a concept that you have. So once you've established that you are on an, when we have a fake out back into the range with, you know, a strong candle closure like this, this is indicating that price has a 75% chance on Bitcoin to fill that whole range. I mean, if we back test that something here, right? So this, you can mark this as your range, right? See if I can just remove all drawings on this. I was giving an example to someone here. So let's say we back tested just quickly on this, right? So we could call this a fake out, and we're talking about a trading perspective, right? The top of your range is really in this area here, right? You can call this the top of the range. This won't be the top of the range because your range is from here, because you have, this is like a false breakout. So you actually have an example to both sides, right? The bottom of your range is going to be somewhere around here. You can see what happens is that we have price break out to the top side of the range, do a fake out, close back in the range, and then you have that 75% chance of filling the whole range, right? So similar way to look at that on another example here is if I remove these lines, and you can look at this as a fake out here, right? So if we look at this structure here, as price came, closed back in the range, 75% chance, came up, filled the top of this range in this area here. Now, it's not always going to be exactly, but what you can see is that, you know, it's filling a range here. But then, you know, this came into market structure because now we're breaking into the first lower low, and we were all looking for that rejection here. Knowing that we would get a rejection at this means that, you know, price should continue down. Just from this first fake out here is telling that you know, there is going to be some bearish price action, right? So that is one way of looking at it. And as for what's going to happen, you know, next is, I just want to show something that I use, and this is BBWP, and I find this a very, very interesting indicator. So this is based off of the Bollinger Bands, and I only use this on Bitcoin. Otherwise, I'm trading in Forex just using the candles and stuff.
Harry,
Yeah,
would you mind clicking on your indicator so that we can see the name of this indicator? There's a, just on the top left.
Yeah.
BBW.
So this is exactly BBWP. If you search it in the library here, it is made by Caretaker. So let me just show you. If you just put all caps, it's this one. So give you a chance, whoever wants to have a look at it.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks.
So I love this indicator because it shows you volatility, right? So if you can match, you know, trend with volatility, is a very powerful thing, because if your trend is on your side, so for me, trend now is bullish. 12-hour, you can see, has broken out. It's closed above the range, right? Daily is obviously above the range here. I would like to see if this can take out the high in 9 hours. This is looking extremely good. We're very close at the moment here, right? Because if we can take out this high, then I see us drive up to 51. And remember, CME also closed very strong at 50. You see, like, this CME closure is looking continuation, right? It's closed above the last relevant resistance on CME. You can see here we've closed above that, and I just think we get a small wick down, grab liquidity for the orders, and then we start pushing up. That's what it's looking like. But what's very interesting, if you go to BBWP on the daily and we go to spot price here, this is on the floor, right? This is absolutely zero. Trend is towards the upside. Volatility is as low. There's a huge move coming, right? And how we know this is, if you look in the past, when volatility was this low, was right on this move here, right? Right when we got that explosive move, all right? And we can see that what happened was, as soon as volatility started to tick up and we got a positive slope on the moving average, we can see, and Stokes were turned up here, we can see that price made an explosive move of immediately, from that candle here, of immediately 33%, right? So these in the past have put explosive moves. I mean, if we backtest this, you can see the last time it did an explosive move was this, right? After a long time of consolidation here, boom, explosive move. So whatever's coming next is going to be a very, very big move, in my opinion. And this is based off just this BBWP indicator. And if we have trend towards the upside and we're not breaking lower time structure, volatility to the floor, Stokes, and momentum towards the upside, this is looking for a combination to see quite a big push here. And of course, this is all subjective to this indicator, of course, is direction neutral, but looking at price action and how price is moving, respecting structure, on the daily we have a high and a higher low here, right? And we need to make that higher high today, which would give me even more confidence, you know. And then the weekly is also closing here, and the weekly looks like it's closing strong above this range. What's important is we need to close above the range. So with that, you know, BBWP being so flat on the floor, I really do think that, you know, there's a big expansive move coming from this area.
So Harry, when we're looking at BBWP, are we looking at anything other than the location of the lines? Do we care about the other lines, the way they cross over each other, or are we just looking at it as a range where when it's at 0, it's good, when it's at 100, it's bad? Is it that, I mean, is it that simple, or is it more complicated?
Yeah, it is that simple. Basically, what 100 means is volatility is peaked. It has, you know, like the volume has been pushed in already, right? So if we take examples when last time it peaked was, you know, if we look here, was at this area here, right at the top, it had a dump, right? If you look at these highs, we probably had volatility peak here, dump, volatility peak here, dump, volatility peak at this point here, you can see just around here, it dumps. So basically they're just saying volume. Now it didn't catch this top here, right? And, you know, but what you don't really want, this is not an indicator to catch reversal, but this is an indicator to catch the big moves. What we really want to look for is we want to look for when volatility has been pushed to the floor. When volatility has been pushed to the floor, this means that, you know, there is a lot of liquidity left for price to push up. And if we look at what's happening now, we have got a positive slope. Now we just need this moving average to turn up, which we could get today. I don't have the reverse function. If I had a reverse function, it would actually tell you what it will take for this to actually turn up. But once this turns up from this low position with momentum trend and volatility towards the upside, I do think we see quite an expansive move from this current position here. Because if you look at
sorry, does the time frame make a big difference? I mean, you're looking at the daily. What if you looked at the 4 hour? Does it change? Does it change with time frame?
4 hours flat. Look at this. 4 hours. Like you can see that volatility at here at the bottom, when volatility was 0, boom, nice move. You know, I'm just talking about the scale of the move.
Okay, but it does touch. But sorry, Pampa. So it does touch down on the different scale levels in the same way, no matter which time frame you're on. That's really more.
Yeah, exactly. We want to look for it to hit the 0 read. You know, once it hits the
change from one time frame to the other, right?
It does change. Yeah, I mean, like no, I mean that's always 0. You know, when you see when this hit the 0, we're starting to get an expansion.
No, that's not what I meant. What I meant is if you look at the daily, just go back to the daily for a sec.
Yeah.
And you look like back here in next to the 6th of July where it hit a bottom. Okay.
All right. Yeah. Yeah.
Take that precise date. It's what is it? Just pick the date, whatever it is.
Exactly when it hit 0.
I'm just curious if you were on a 4 hour, would it also have shown that it hit 0 too or not? It should, I guess, right? If it's a volatility.
No, because this is a daily time frame, it will be different, right? So when it hits 0, it means that it's like volatility is lowest. You want to see it hit 0 and turn up positive to see that volatility is starting to expand from that area.
Yeah, because I'm just wondering if it's the same on different time frames. If it hit 0 on all time frames.
So no, it was actually peaked as much as it could be on the 4 hour.
So how do you now interpret this? That's I'm trying to get to that. So how do you interpret the?
Actually, it wasn't. It's right here. So yeah, it was 0.
That would make more sense.
Yeah, it was 0.
That would
because yeah, go ahead.
Sorry.
Okay.
The stochastic on the monthly would actually also suggest the same. If you switch to the monthly, you'll see.
Yeah, stochastics on monthly just turned up. Now, monthly for me here is very, very clear. Like if I was to look at this as a price action trader, I mean, it doesn't get any more clear. And this is why I like to just use, I mean, this is good. You know, this is good. We're breaking the high now. This should easily continue up to 57. I see this continuing up 57. You know, weekly, again, you know, this is looking as a price action point of view. This is a nice little pause. It's good to see a little bit of exhaustion and then a continue up this. If the weekly can close like it is above the previous candle wick, this is very healthy for price to continue up to 58,000 in maybe the next 3 weeks or something.
The daily, by the way, also has not an ugly, well, relatively ugly looking cup and handle on it on Bitcoin. It's also been noted by Bilo that it's a rising wedge, but or it could be a rising wedge, but it's also a cup and handle.
It is good. What I do sometimes like to check is the line chart, right?
Yeah, me too.
And yeah, I mean, if this is not clear, this looks like trend now is on our side towards the upside. And this is made clear to me. At this point here, I was actually quite worried that we might roll over here. But again, we had that bullish buying pressure. We broke the weekly highs. We made the higher high and the higher low. Trend, volatility is now towards the upside. So I do think we see an expansive move. But at the end of the day, it is Bitcoin. And as long as it's holding its ranges, I think we might break the daily high here. So that might be cool. And as long as it's holding its ranges, then I'm happy. And that invalidation point for me is going to be on the 4 hour, just below this range here. Price breaks below here. It's breaking back into this range. And as I showed you from before, 75% chance to fill that range coming down to 46, especially with the clean candles here. We should see price drive towards the downside.
Someone pointed out in our group the other day that the current price action is actually also kind of reminiscent of the Wyckoff distribution pattern that we witnessed, but on a smaller level. If you go back to the daily, you'll see what I mean.
See, I'm not the best. I haven't researched too much with Wyckoff, but I do know a little bit.
If you stick it on auto and then zoom out.
Tell me how much more you want to zoom out.
So that you can see the previous Wyckoff distribution. If you look, there are touch points coming up pretty much exactly the same, but just on a smaller scale.
Here.
Yeah.
Do you mean accumulation or distribution?
If you look from where we've hit the bottom and then we've started coming back up again.
You're talking about accumulation, Pumpy, right?
No, distribution. So we've had the accumulation.
So you're looking for this to roll over?
Yeah, for perhaps to come down and then come up once more and then roll over. But it breaks all models that are currently in place.
Well, you see, yeah, for me, I trade, I don't speculate months in the future. I look at, for me, 4 hour here is very clear. We remain above 49K. I don't have any problems with price. Any problem. CME closed. You see, there's a lot of weight on CME because CME closed above the range, retesting here. Daily is clear. Weekly on CME. Look how strong weekly closed above that wick. So for me, CME is a chart that I really like to look at. And I think that CME is showing good pressure towards the upside. And, I would like to see Bitcoin trade up, a little bit. I think it would be nice. And I think based on the volatility we've been seeing, 1 hour is a nice accumulation. And every time that price can accumulate and hold this level here, it's looking good, and if we can push up, and as I said, close the weekly in 9 hours here above the wick, CME should open, and I think we should see a push. And this volatility here on the daily is just, it's very, 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 very grounded. I mean, this is very low here. I mean, this is like whatever, the one thing that I can give you 100%, and as you all know that trading is never ever 100%, but definitely after this accumulation, we will see a big move. That doesn't mean, 10, 20K move, but 5K move is still a big move, right? Whether it is to the upside or the downside. I mean, 5K from where we are, let's just put 55K, that's 9%, to about 9% either way. So definitely breaking back into this range here with this clean candle here to the left should see price fill that range. Definitely do think that it's a good area. But yeah, we have to take it day by day. That's basically what I'm looking at. If anyone has any questions for me in terms of anything, let me know. But I would like to thank you for letting me share my charts.
It's a pleasure. Thank you.
You are welcome anytime.
Thank you.
I do have a question. The line that you're drawing, or that box you're drawing, as resistance. Does it happen to also be? It just seems to be like it. Does it also happen to be 618 retrace from the all-time high down to the 28K level?
Let's try.
It's the 705 from the drop point, Bilo.
No, I mean from the all-time high.
From the wick or from the body?
The wick.
No.
About that.
This is no 618 is where we are now. Oh, you mean this box here or this one up here?
No, that box there, that down one. That's exactly what it is.
Yeah. But for me, I just see this as a resistance level based on this wick accumulation here, this resistance here.
Sure, it's not one thing, but I mean, it just adds confluence. When you have
of course,
more and more reasons to see this as a resistance or a support, it just adds more confluence to the idea that this is an important level to break.
That's why I say, closing above this level, clean range to the left, should see price continue up, bullish towards 55.9.
Would I be right in saying that there's quite? Would I be right in saying that there's quite a lot of order book selling pressure around the 51,000 mark as well?
Yeah, I do think that people are profit taking. I mean, we've had a pretty beautiful move here, you know. I mean, this is what from the lows. See, 72%. I mean, come on.
That's a lot on Bitcoin. I mean, that's a big market cap chunk.
72%. This is huge, you know. So reducing some positions and also looking to add some positions, to be honest. And I think a lot of positions, this area here, could be a lot of positions being added, you know. That's you know, double bottoms, you can call this, but I call this major level of support. When you see a double bottom, all that is like, you know, people, they will drive, you know, they will accumulate in this area here, which gives it this big green candle here, which is going to be, you know, the adding of open interest and positions. Now, as these positions get laid off here because of people holding from this price level here, once we come back down, right, some people, what they do is even to add more positions here and accumulate more at this level of 46K, they will open a short position at the top of the market here, right? And they will open short positions to drive the price down so that they can fill their long-term long positions. And then once price reaches back to the entry point, they can offlay those short positions. And then what we see is we see a breakout. That's the important part. Is that, all right, if we were to break down from this area, that's like, okay, they're looking to short the price. But what we see is we see price come down, retest this area, long positions are added. That's why prices moved up. Now, they could have manipulated it by pushing the price down, but obviously price was shorted here. Short positions were added to the market. Now, people have added back more long positions here. But what is important is this leg took us out of the range here. You see, we are out of the range. And you can look this as a retest candle, right? So if we just move this line here towards the upside, this is basically still holding above the range, retesting back in, and now continuing out, you know. And this is a very, very strong play. I use this a lot in Forex on the lower time frames, is when you have a breakout, price makes this pause candle and then breaks the high while respecting the low. It's a very high hit rate in Forex. And in Bitcoin, I do notice it happen a lot. You know, you do see it, like here's an example, breaks the high, we get continuation. I mean, if you just back test it yourself, not going to waste time here, but you know, here's a pause, breaks the low, huge drop down. You know, here, pause, breaks the low, drop down. You know, here, breaks the high, continuation. Here's another example. Pause, breaks the high, continuation. Breaks the high, continuation. You know, you see this a lot. So that's why I would like for it to break the high today.
I was going to say, looking at the like the bearish perspective of it, you could also say that if we don't break this 618 or this particular level, then actually we're not out of the danger zone of it being a macro downtrend, are we? After that drop.
Yeah, I think once, to be honest, in my honest opinion, we're not out of danger until we get above 55K.
Yeah, or in fact, to be honest, until we make a higher high on the monthly.
Yeah. I mean, we could come here, reject at this area right here, reject that right here, and we'd still make a higher low on the
Yep.
weekly,
Yep.
right? And then continue down. But I think this level here, you can see in the past, has had quite a lot of relevance. I think once we can trade above there, should give us, a little bit more confidence, at least a little bit more for Bitcoin.
I've been sharing a few bearish charts just to keep everybody on their toes a little bit, because actually it's not all set in stone. It may look like we're rolling Bitcoin in glitter and everything's great because all the altcoins are popping off left, right, and center. But actually, it could all come tumbling down at some point. People are going to be really upset.
I mean, there's always a bearish case, and for me, the bearish case starts once we break below this 49. I mean, if we're breaking below this 49, we fill the range. I think we break through this range. I don't see a reason why it will stop here. I think we come down all the way to 44, and from 44, this is the thing. It's gonna. There's always a bearish case, but at the moment, I don't see anything that's alarming. The only thing that was alarming me was on the line chart on the weekly, when this was starting to roll over here. When we looked at it like that, it's like, okay, that's pretty clear, But now it's like, boop, shot back up. So, looking the next resistance, technically looking at, just a line chart, is all the way up here at 58K, right? But, of course, there's a lot more resistances along the way. Around here, 55K is another big level here. But to be honest, until proven otherwise, I remain with an upside bias, but that doesn't mean that I don't have some downside possibilities, of course. It's always what you have to have as a trader, right?
Absolutely.
Well, I'm glad that we seem to be on the same page in terms of the important resistance levels and the important points to break through and not to break under. And I still say, like you, that I don't see any reason to be overly bearish, even if you look at the bearish scenarios, because of the tremendous level of support we have below us. Just for that reason, I'm not too concerned with the bearish scenarios, just because of the many different levels of support we have below.
I agree.
This is why I think, and this is what I mentioned at the beginning, this is why I think we're seeing that the alt market is pumping, because of the stability. And I really like your BBWP indicator, because it just kind of reinforces the idea that the stability that we're talking about is really there from a technical standpoint, not just from looking at a chart, but there's actually a stability indicator that's indicating that stability is there, which is allowing for the alt market to move. So it's really nice. It adds a lot of confluence to the different ideas that we've been sharing ourselves. Thank you.
Yeah, good. Oh, anytime. Another thing, just quickly, is the VPVR?
Yes.
The interesting thing is, I always trade using clean candles because they give you the quickest moves. See, when we have trouble here in the past, we have trouble here in the future. But what you notice as added confluence is, for me, I said we should drive up quite easily here due to this clean candle. But in the VPVR, this is like that empty area right here.
That's right. That's right.
So, it's the same thing looked at two different perspectives. And
it is nice. It is nice. It does buy that confidence.
So that's also more confluence that if we do break above this 618, that we're going to move very quickly.
Should be an explosive move. I definitely.
Be a good move. That's right.
Well, if
I definitely think.
Sorry, if that cup and handle's correct, then the target for that is 72,300.
Yeah, I mean, I do have some long-term analysis, but we'll get into that another day. That's like some fun speculative stuff.
Sounds good.
Harry, I'd love to hear and actually see some TA and DOT if you had any.
What are your thoughts? Of course. Let's have a look.
I was about to ask for that one. Thank you.
So let me remove all drawings here. And I'm going to start on the monthly time frame here. So monthly made a clear level of support, continuing up bullish. So we have monthly resistance at this level. And this is how I mark up my charts, right? So I'm just going to put this as MR, right? So now we know what we're looking at. That's our monthly resistance. Next, we'll go to the, oh, wow. So you see that pause play? You see how powerful that is? Breaks the high, explosive move, right? You're seeing how it respects the low here. Boom, breaks the high, boom. You get these explosive moves, right? And this is why I pay so much weight on this exact, because again, what do you get? You get a closure above the weekly range. You get that pause candle above the range. See, we see it time and time again. Next candle comes down, breaks the high, and then you get the explosive move, which is a similar thing that we could be getting on Bitcoin here, right? You see that? Break above this range here, quite decently above the range. And then, we've broken the high here. Of course, it's a weekly time frame, so they take time to play out. It's not going to happen in an hour, but it's the similar thing. So if we're going back on DOT here, weekly is looking extremely bullish here for me. And I need to remove all of these. You know what TradingView has to introduce? A rubber tool that you can just rub it.
Yeah.
That
Harry,
would be
actually,
ideal.
do you know what I was just going to tell you? That you don't need to use that undo button at the top. You can just, if you're on the chart and you haven't moved on to a different chart in between, you can just press Control Z.
Yeah, I like to do that, but then it's like, making noise in the mic of my mechanic keyboard. I don't know if it's annoying or not. Anyways, let's see daily time frame here, consolidation. So needs to break above this high, but again, looking good. 4 hour, yeah, very good. 4 hours looking nice. Let's see what we have. Yeah, again, clean candles here. Here's our range. Look how this monthly resistance has automatically given me a target just from marking the monthly resistance. So this is why we have to start on those higher time frames, is because now we're really getting our areas, and this is a very strong resistance here because it's on a monthly time frame. So basically, very simple analysis here is that we are holding these lows here. As long as price doesn't break, we should see this candle close above this range. Once this candle, preferably on a 12-hour, can close above this range, we should see a nice quick move, short stops. Probably, I think it would push through in this area here, and I think we would see a nice move, probably up to 36 before coming and tapping into the monthly resistance here at 37. Now, after 37, I do think we see a small pullback. And I really do think that is short-lived, that pullback. We might even have the opportunity to come all the way back down and retest that area. That is definitely, but I need to all see that how the breakout is. If the breakout what I would like to see is some sort of exhaustion here. A little bit of a pullback, then breakthrough, right? Because this little bit of a pullback will give us the liquidity to push through, right? So that's what I want to see. And then I do think that DOT is actually continuing bullish, and definitely we'll see it tap 41 once we break back into that range. But my next target for DOT is going to be 37, and I do think that that is coming once we break this range here. So that is my analysis on DOT.
Back in the middle of August, we put together a chart in CSTA suggesting accumulation of DOT up to $22. With a target of about $33. This was middle of August. The reason I think DOT is not going to stop at this resistance, and I thought that the 32, 33 would be the place where we would kind of take a break. I think the reason is going to be purely from a fundamental analysis perspective. People are seeing what's happening with the Kusama parachain auction, staking their Kusamas. You guys have seen what the results of that have been with Moon River, with Akala. Akala, not as much. Karura, not as much as Moon River. But you got, I think it was 1 to 15, if I'm not mistaken. One Kusama brought you 15 Moon Rivers, and Moon River has been at around $180 not long ago. So people are seeing this, and they're starting to realize that this is not a bad idea. So I believe, just from a fundamental analysis perspective, if we just ignore the charts for a minute, and I'm a TA guy, not an FA guy, that DOT is definitely going to be going and continuing up. People are going to be accumulating simply because they would like to get a chance on what happened with the Kusama parachain auctions if they missed out on it. Sorry, Harry, continue.
Oh, I definitely agree. And when I used to do altcoin analysis, I always used to say, it's mostly fundamentals with these altcoins. There's not as much, if I had a huge trading account in, maybe 3-4 million, I could move this price a little, I could definitely move the price, especially with leverage. So at the end of the day, when you're, analyzing altcoins, you're analyzing people, there are some funds that do trade altcoins, but at the end of the day, you're looking at what are the people doing. That's fundamental analysis. So there's a huge weight on fundamental analysis when it comes to altcoins. So I definitely agree. And if fundamentals are strong, technicals are also strong. That's your key to have a good push on an altcoin. And for me, technicals are strong. I do think we see, of course, there should be things with altcoins is sometimes they just push through these resistances like no tomorrow. But obviously, it's quite clear here. As soon as we get above this 34.20, I don't see why we don't see a nice clean push towards the upside. At least 37 minimum target here. If not, continuing, fundamentals can push this as hard as it wants.
Especially with Bitcoin behaving stably. I mean,
Yes.
I don't mean Bitcoin, in my opinion, and I think you agree, we're going to see it fluctuate 1 to 2K up, down. It's not really going to matter. This is relatively very good, stable behavior for Bitcoin. And every time that's happened, almost every time that's happened, we've seen the alt market push up. So there's so much right now confluence going on for us to believe that this is a good time to be in alts and to be accumulating those high potential alts like DOT, for example.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, here's your Bitcoin dominance. This is heading down. This, if you can't see that this is a downtrend, then maybe I don't think trading is for you. But it's obvious, and Bitcoin will move slowly. But I do think that we should see a bounce pretty soon from this. And I do think that this week we do get a little bit of a push. But again, a 5K push on Bitcoin, no one's going to give a crap. It's like, okay, 5K, I've seen
This
Bitcoin.
is why I'm saying it's stable. Exactly.
Exactly. But as long as Bitcoin is continuing up and not having these... See, Bitcoin having a quick move down is issue, but these quick moves up, consolidating quick moves up is the stability we need to hold up the altcoin market. And...
Totally agree. So tell me what you think about Solana then. Now that's the biggest one for me right now, and the most interesting and most loved coin right now for me is Solana.
I mean, look at where my previous technical analysis is at. Says enough. All right, so with Solana here, I mean,
Harry,
it's a incredible run.
Harry,
this is what.
Did you buy Solana at $1.50 on January the 1st?
No, I didn't.
Why not?
I wish I did.
And why didn't I? And why didn't Bilo? Because it was the most obvious play ever.
No. I'll tell you why. There is a reason why, and it's actually a very good reason.
Okay.
We were talking about Solana in Crypto Society last year. Okay. Yeah. And we did. I myself, an independent. I mean, I researched Solana. I was trying to learn about more about FA, and I had like a whole set of rules to follow to see what's good, what's bad. And I was, trying to up my FA game. And I came across Solana and I looked at it and I did an analysis on it. And Crypto Society FA was at the same time, I didn't know this, but they were also doing an analysis on this. And I'll tell you what the reason is. If you look at the time, if you look at the total circulating supply versus the locked supply that was about to get released in January, they were going to release a shitload of coins all at the same time in January. So this looked like a major dump. Otherwise, I would have bought at less than $1. It was less than $1 when I was looking at it.
Yeah, December it was less than $1. It was 99 cents
right.
at some point in December.
Yeah. So, but if you looked at the time, and I still have my worksheet and my analysis, if you looked at it at the time, the tokenomics were such that the remainder of the tokens, all of them, I don't know if it was a mistake. They obviously changed that plan. They burnt a lot of tokens eventually. They did different things, but those tokens were all going to get released on the market. Otherwise, I definitely would have bought a shitload of Solana. I ended up buying Solana at $3. Okay, and
nice. That's still very nice.
It is. It is nice. Okay, and
I bought this wick.
Is that why we don't see you anymore?
Swimming.
You know what?
I bought this wick and then sold here.
I wish I bought more.
Yes.
I did the same. I bought at 3 and I sold, I rebought, I resold. But right now I look at Solana, and again, Pampa and I are on a mission to, have people become more aware of what we do at CS, because we put in a lot of time and energy into the channel, into the TA, into the different people, different departments. We're just talking about TA for now, but we put out a lot of calls, and we spend a lot of time analyzing in the market and different coins. And Solana specifically, we put out a call calling the $80 range, the 115 specifically dollar range, and then the $150 range, and they were all hit perfectly. And this wasn't like just I hope it's going to get there. This was all based on Elliott wave. But what's more important right now is if you look at Solana and you believe that Solana is the blockchain everybody claims for it to be in terms of speed, in terms of agility, strength, buy-in from everybody in the blockchain, guys, Solana is still 1/12 the market cap of Ethereum. If anything, let's not call Solana an Ethereum killer. Let's call it serious competition. Can we all agree that Solana is at least serious competition to Ethereum?
You know what,
guys? There's 12x from here.
We need more than one blockchain. It's that simple. It doesn't matter whether anything is an Ethereum killer, because that's not what it's about. We are going to have blockchains for different purposes, and I think personally that Solana and possibly DOT, etc., can reach the market cap of where Ethereum is now and go beyond it. Not obviously with Ethereum staying here, but there's room for all of them.
But yeah, I'd look at all the blockchains like car manufacturers. You have many car manufacturers, not one takes them all.
Exactly. They all have different purposes. Like AVAX, for example, completely different purpose to DOT, for example.
I think ETH is just like Ford, it's there. It's good.
Fix or repair.
You have people who drive Mustangs around, but
the thing is, until we fix their gas issue, I mean, it doesn't make sense that if you have 100, most people in crypto today that are joining, they don't know much about crypto, and all they know is, okay, I'm gonna buy this, and my friend told me buy this or buy that, and they're gonna there's this thing called MetaMask. Okay, so I'm gonna go buy a coin. I want to sell that coin now. I got to approve the coin, spend $30, $40. Then I got to spend another $30, $40 to sell it. Fuck that. What else is there? And that's what's going to kill Ethereum. If that doesn't change, projects will migrate to other faster, cheaper blockchains.
They already are.
They're working on this, but it's taking too long. It's this that's allowing for blockchains like Solana to make the gains they're making. And just to go back a little bit, when I say 11.5, 12x from here in terms of market cap potential, this is assuming Ethereum doesn't move. Ethereum is going to move. Ethereum is going to grow. So guys, think about it. We're talking about, I wish I bought when it was $1. You're going to say this, I wish I bought when it was 150. It's not too late. There is potential for growth that is astronomical here when it comes to Solana. I just wanted to say that.
We've
I do agree.
Had a question on the live stream on YouTube saying what would be a good entry for Solana?
I could share the chart, but I want
January.
Yes.
Bilo, do you want to share your chart?
Harry, if you can continue. No, Harry, I'd like you to continue, and then I could share mine. I really like what you're talking about and the way you look at things. So please proceed, and then I can share my chart.
Well, for me on Solana here, it's really there's no top. You can't call a top on something like this.
It's price discovery. Yeah.
Exactly. Trying to call a top here is trying to end your career in trading, right? I mean, all you have to do is play the ranges, right? And it's as simple as that. You have support here. It's so simple. You have support, resistance here. Here's your ranges. Very simple. I mean, if you don't know, this is it. Price could bounce off here and continue up. As soon as it breaks this high, I should see it continue up. If price breaks back into here, it's probably coming here or probably bouncing off here. If price breaks back into here, I see it bouncing off here, and just play the ranges down if that's where you want to see it go. But ideally, if we're looking to accumulate Solana, then I would like to see it probably range for a while. As soon as it comes into a range, that's an accumulation. Very easy place to manage risk down here. As it breaks the top of the range, you can accumulate down here. you know that, all right, if it's range, something like this, you know, you can see here, price retested, then retested again, you know, you could have accumulated here, then, you know, accumulated here. Now you have an easy area to manage risk. You know, if price does break through, all right, fine, you've lost 1-2%, big deal, you know, but breaks through, then happy days, you know. So, I mean, you see that a lot in the past. Here's your accumulation. How many times has it held this lows? Here's your chance, here's your chance, here's your chance, here's your managing risk. All right, you have to go through all of this, but that doesn't matter. If it breaks through, right, that's a different story now, right? Well, now you can manage risk, closing your position. But until that happens, then you're going to get this upside move. So personally, for me, I want to see some sort of accumulation, you know, on preferably like a 4-hour, you know. But now that Solana has moved to now, you know, supplying NFTs, there's a lot of hype in it. So
Yeah,
I do, you know,
that's the thing. It's a dangerous time to say I want to wait when
exactly.
it comes to Solana. And I think we could look at TA and we could look at, okay, we should have a retracement here and Elliott waves and whatnot. But if you look at Solana, what it's doing, the adoption, I mean, my best advice to anybody right now when it comes to Solana, dollar cost average. Don't worry too much about the price. Buy it now. And if it drops, great, buy some more. And if it goes up, congratulations, you bought when it was lower. DCAN, guys, this is one of those projects that's going to be in the top 3. Mark my words.
Yeah, I agree.
Yes, definitely Solana's very strong project here.
Again, don't sleep on AVAX either. AVAX is the same.
There's
AVAX
so
is
much.
also gonna be big.
I mean, AVAX, Phantom, which I personally have not bought. I wish I did. I didn't. There's just so much, guys. There's too many out there, and that's another thing in trading and in general. How do you keep track of everything? So you got to be careful. And I'm saying this, guys. I make the same mistakes. I have too many coins, and sometimes, all the time, really, when you have that many coins, it's impossible to manage your portfolio unless you're a hodler. And you just say, I like these coins. I'm just going to come back and see what happens in a year or so. But if you're actively trading, you will make mistakes. You will screw up if you have that many projects. So focus on a few good ones. Unless you're a hodler and you don't mind hodling. You know what? When you buy Google, I was talking with someone the other day. When you buy Google, when you buy Apple, you don't check the chart every day. You know that long term, you're going to be happy. So when it comes to that kind of a trading perspective, nothing wrong with holding more and more projects. But if you're an active trader and you're holding 15 to 20 coins, there's no way for you to manage those coins unless you have a team of TAers working for you. Just my opinion.
Exactly. I
or
mean,
unless you have, like Felix, you have a dual screen laptop with 9 charts running at once.
Yeah.
And you are meditating on the charts.
if you're a hodler, I don't even see a reason to be looking at the charts, because if you're a hodler, first of all, this is the only chart you should be looking at, the monthly. And second of all, if you are going to look at charts, second of all, if you're hodling, you're not buying because of the charts, you're buying because of the project. So the only thing you should be keeping on top of is, what's the project? Is the project keep developing?
Harry,
As soon as they slow down in developing, you know.
Go to the Ethereum monthly.
Yeah, it's gonna look beautiful.
There's my baby.
Yes.
You know when you just said the only thing you should be paying attention to is the monthly. Now imagine what 4 or 5 months ago, how you'd have felt looking at that monthly. That was hideous. Hitting that all-time high and then coming back down again and closing around the close of the previous candle.
I mean, this really low on a monthly, that's very strong, but this is like what you can call like a rounding bottom here.
Yeah.
Anyways, it's a whole different story. But that caught a lot of people out, definitely.
Absolutely.
Definitely. You know.
We bought more.
Great time to trade it though. I mean, if you'd have I think the all-time high was actually in confluence with various fibs. If you were trading it on a smaller time frame, so if you'd have sold at the top, that would have been a great accumulation time.
Yeah, you can see all of these wicks here. Never broke this. That was your key, right? was just as long as it holds that range, and at the end of the day, wicks don't lie. They really don't lie to you. And here you can see the wicks, they really weren't lying.
Sounds like
Where
a
was
song.
it?
So Harry, there are two schools of thoughts on wicks. If you have a line that gets tested enough, one school of thought is you're good to go. The other school of thought is you're weakening it and you're going to break through it eventually. What are your thoughts?
So my thought is very simple to answer that question is, until we break through, it's not true, right? I mean, if it breaks through, it breaks through. But until it doesn't break through, then it's gonna hold it. I mean, it's as simple as that for me. But if we're looking at this as a question, as in, do I think that retests of an area is bearish? I mean, not bearish, or like, is it weakening it, or do I think it's something strong?
Yeah, my question is, do you think, is it weakening it or is it strong?
Well, if we back test it,
numerous times of, let's say, retesting, like in this case here, a lot of people were saying at the time that we're testing it way too many times. It's weakening it as a support. It's a school of thought, right, in trading. I don't necessarily agree, because testing it is adding more comfort to those that are saying, okay, you know what, we're not going to go lower. But there is that school of thought that the more you test support, the more it gets weaker.
At the end of the day, for me, it all comes down to market structure, right? I mean, if you're testing it, look at the reaction. What's very important is understand the reaction. You see the reaction is bullish here, bullish, bullish. You see these are bringing you always back to the top of the range here. So what you are asking here is basically, all right, look, we are not breaking through the range, but every time we have bullish action here. So for me, what is this? This is accumulation here, right? So we're accumulating, and whether we get a break to the downside or break to the upside, that is, you can see that the downtrend here was not relevant anymore, right? We came here in a downtrend. Here's your last lower high, all right? So here's your lower high, but we never made a lower low here. Price had the same bullish reaction here. So now we're in a range. Here's your range, right? Because now we have equal lows and a lower high. Doesn't mean anything in terms of trend. But then guess what price does on this leg? Price on this leg makes a higher high above this high.
That's actually a lovely textbook double bottom with a nice retest, and it's probably hit an exact, by the look, just looking at it, it's probably hit an exact technical target as well.
Let's have a look. Almost. I would say it should have been here if there was any technical target.
Okay. It could, though. It could be a little deceiving sometimes, though, because you could also very easily have looked at this as a descending triangle.
Yes, that's why I don't think but then your triangle for me would have broken out here.
That's right. So there, going above that point, you would become bullish. But at that point is where you would be a bit nervous. Maybe you put a tight stop loss, but then if you're putting a tight stop loss, if you're leverage trading, you can get stop hunted. This is always a bit of a tricky situation.
But won't this gives you confirmation? So we hold the lows, we break out, but we're still in the range. So this is telling you, all right, I think price does want to do something different here, right?
Yeah, when you broke up above that line. Absolutely.
Exactly, yeah. So now it's telling me, all right, price does want to do something different here. And then we got the follow through. So I think this ascending triangle here was kind of a front run telling you that, hey, I think we do have some more bullish buying pressure in this area. I don't think it should have been a buy signal.
Look how tricky this is, Harry. Look how tricky this is here. That's tricky.
Yeah. I mean,
that screwed people out of their positions.
Yeah, of course. Especially if we zoom in here, that's a big. I mean, you can't really get into this, to be honest. I mean, unless you traded the breakout, because if we drew this properly like this, I personally, to be honest, to draw it properly was something like this.
Yeah, it would have been lower. Connect that one there. Yeah, there you go. See, that would screw people out of their positions.
You would have gotten right here and then had to hold all of this drawdown. Here's that liquidation here.
There you go.
Taking out all the stops.
That's it.
And then boom, continue up. Now we have people piling on positions all here, all taken out.
Yeah.
This is why I just want, if you look, when you trade out of a range, It's a lot higher probability. Here we break out the range. Your stop loss is going to be back in the range. I would probably have placed my stop loss if I'm trading this, something like this, like a long position, breaking out here. I'm probably going to place my stop loss here, something like this. And now you see, you never really, okay, you have to hold it for a while, but it's you're pretty safe. You're not going to get any of this liquidations because you're not trying to trade anything crazy.
The only point I'm trying to make is that this is not natural market behavior. This is very manipulated.
Oh, for sure. I mean,
targeted price action.
You break the monthly lows, and then you have the biggest bullish buying pressure that there ever could be. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. You break monthly lows, and then shoot, buy it up. I mean, from any investor point of view, it doesn't make sense.
What do you find easier to trade, Forex or crypto?
Oh, definitely Forex, 1000%.
I thought you might say that.
I mean, it's just consistent. You can manage risk. You see, when you trade Forex, it's like you can trade it every day because, you know, it ranges during Asian session. Then when we get London open in the morning, you get the move and then you're done for the day. It's like, you know, very, very textbook, you know, none of this manipulation. I mean, trillions of dollars traded daily. There's so much liquidity that you never get any of these quick moves, but there are moves quick. I mean, like, you know, you trade with a 10 lot, you know, in 30 seconds, make $1,000 and call it a day, you know, you do that for a month, you're making good income, you know? So, yeah. Anyways, it was a pleasure being on here. I have to jump off.
Thank you very much, Harry.
Very nice to have you. Hope you join us again, Harry.
It would be nice to. I enjoy chatting with TA heads. It's always a fun time.
Excellent.
And yeah, for sure. I will join again. Sorry for taking up the charts.
Not at all. But we're so happy to have you, Harry. Really. It's
no, appreciate
very
it.
Nice. Thank you. Please join us again.
For sure. I'll see you next week.
Excellent.
Anyways, take care, guys.
Have a good day.
Thanks for your time today. Bye-bye.
Good trading. So, Bilo, do you have a chance that you wish to share?
Yeah, I'll just share the Solana chart and just talk a little bit about Solana.
And there's a couple in the chat there as well. They're asking to have a look at Link, EOS, and BCH. Now, this is a joke for me. EOS and BCH, easy. Why are you in them? But from a TA, can we have a look?
Yeah. For some reason, I lost the window.
Luckily, I have a cover that I can put over while you're fumbling around, Bilo.
Okay, I'm gonna step out and step back in, I guess.
Dave, would I be right in saying that you bought some DOT this morning?
I did.
Was it DOT you said, 7 a.m.?
At 7 a.m, yeah. Hit that on today's low, yeah.
Lovely. What was it at the low?
It's 32 something. Hold on.
And what's it sat at now?
Yeah, I got it at like 32.12, something like that. And it's currently at 33.4.
Okay, here we go. Okay, share my screen. You guys see my screen?
We can indeed.
Sorry, I'm just still getting used to my Mac. It's like, ugh.
You joined the dark side.
If you will go over to the dark side, Bilo, what can I say?
You know what? But they told me is once you go Mac, you never go back.
No, that's rubbish. I had a Mac. I threw it.
I think someone that was dyslexic told you that, and you could well have been told something different.
The best thing about a Mac is you can do an upside down question mark. That's about it.
Nice.
So
I might have to go and get
Solana. This is I just want to explain to you why those targets were there. So the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 target for Solana is very simply put. If we take an Elliott wave extension from 1 to 2, it's a 3.618 target because of the nature of wave 3. Okay, I don't know if you recall, a few weeks ago we were in this. I cleaned up this chart. There was a lot more Elliott waves on it, but while we were in this, I was doing wave counts, and we had put in a target, and I'll just share it here with you guys. Solana. So this is, here we go. So we had put in a target of 70, which we hit. And the retracement was like to the T. And then we put in a target of 80. And then from there, just going to find it, dot. This is where we set to accumulate dot at $22, up to $22. And the Solana, here we set KSM, didn't do as well, but we're still above 400, which is good. And Solana is right here. So the previous target was for wave 5 was 80 when Solana was 65 in August 17. We have seen parabolic wave 3 that has taken us to new heights of above 80. If wave 3 is indeed ended it and wave 4, the correction is over, going back just to put it in perspective, this is around this time right here, then the new target for wave 5 is 115. And then this here, guys, is Elliott waves. Even if you do a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ABC, that's technically one wave in the upper cycle, right? Because there's grand cycles and linear, smaller cycles, and there's cycles inside cycles. So then we're saying that the grand cycle Elliott wave count has a target of at least 150 for wave 3. And I'm going to explain why. And I'm going to explain why the retracement is not going to be very large in this case. So if I go to this chart, and I was trying to clean it up while Harry was talking, but if we go to this chart, grand cycle wise, wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, this was the target. And the reason, again, just to explain why, more or less, this is the target. Just need to draw this at the bottom because that is the bottom of the cycle. Here we go.
Don't keep reminding me about where the bottom of the cycle was for Solana. It just really upsets me.
That's okay. This is the technical target for wave 3. The reason why I don't think wave 4 is going to be drawn out is just simply put, in Elliott wave theory, if wave 2 is drawn out, and in this case, look how long it took for wave 2 to happen. Date range, wave 2, to break out of wave 2, it was 62 days, okay? So in Elliott wave theory, it's simply put, if wave 2 takes a long time, wave 4 will be short and sweet, and vice versa. If wave 2 was short, wave 4 will be thrown out. That's just Elliott wave theory. So wave 4 is going to be a short, sweet, quick wave. Given the hype, given the fundamental analysis we spoke about earlier in terms of market cap, the adoption of the Solana blockchain, putting all this together, forget about TA for a minute. If we agree that wave 4 is going to be short just because of Elliott wave principles, which so far we've been able to adhere to the T, then it's a good time right now to start DCAing into Solana because it can power back up very, very easily and very quickly. And the Elliott waves that are drawn here are off of Fibonacci levels, which it's not that easy to catch exactly and precisely unless I go into a higher time frame. Let me do that. And if I go into a higher time frame, because the starting point is important, I'll just get rid of this. So let's put it somewhere here. Wave 4, guys, and remember, it's all about what most people will use to trade. Most people will trade Fibonacci levels. So look at where we're bouncing off of the wave 2 Fibonacci extension. Right now, that's exactly where we're bouncing. It's not coincidence. People actually play these numbers. So if we, and I expect we'll see a little bit more for confirmation. If we see a bit more confirmation bounces at this level, this is just going to continue on up. Otherwise, I would be accumulating in this region here. Let me just remove the target because it's been met. I'll be accumulating anywhere in this region here. That's my accumulation region. I will buy up everything in this region, and I won't worry about it going any lower. I don't know if that answers the question.
Sorry, where do you think the lowest point of wave 4 is? Sorry, Bilo.
I don't think we'll go below 110.
Okay, nice. And where do you think the next target is?
So now this is 1, 2, 3. If this is 4, okay, I purposely removed the other numbers because it's a little premature. But if this is, I would want to see where wave 4 ends. If wave 4 is really as short as I think it is, and let's say it comes down to this 120 or even the 110 range I said earlier. Let's just say that happens. Then I need to draw 2 Fibonacci's to target it. One of them is from 1, 2, and the other one is from 2, 3. And the 225, which is between 0.618 and 1, and the 3.618 would be the target for wave 3. So if I had to, let's say, pinpoint something, it would be somewhere in this. That would be my target for wave 5.
Okay. Okay. Cool. Good to know.
But before you can target wave 5, it's very important to see where wave 4 stops. That's why at this point, it is speculation, right? So I would love to see us go back to test the 110. And look at the confluence on the 110, 111. I mean, you can draw these a little bit with adjustments, but this region is where I would buy up to here. This is where I'm hoping we would retest. That would be a very nice area to retest because it's giving us that confluence. Look at your VPVR as well. You have a lot of support here in this region. So I would love to see it kind of come back here so I could buy some more. But again, whether you buy it $20, $30, $40 less, if you're talking about a project that's going to be worth $2,000 in a few years and it's 130 or 110, is that really such a big difference? I sincerely believe it will be worth that kind of money. And just we were talking yesterday, Pampay, and I'm still really seriously considering selling a lot of my holdings and just putting them into Solana.
Well, I found a video that I haven't watched yet that suggests that you could live on staking 200 Solana.
Where can you stake Solana? I didn't even know you could stake Solana.
I will send you
did
the
send
video.
me that video. You did send it, and I mean to watch it.
Yeah.
I think tagged me or you sent it, but I didn't know you could stake Solana.
Yeah, I did see somewhere where you could stake it, but I can't remember what the website is. Sorry.
So somebody mentioned that they wanted to take a look at what was it again? Sorry, which coins?
It was EOS, BCH, and Link. Like I say, for EOS and BCH, no offense to the holder, it's not my cup of tea. Link, yeah.
Okay, let's start with Link then. Which one do I take, Binance or Bitfinex? Link.
Binance is probably a good one.
All right, let's take a look at Link. So one of the first things I do, and similar to what Harry was saying, is I also like to look at the bigger picture. So go back and look at the higher time frames. So if we look at the higher time frame for Link, looks weaker than the rest of the market in terms of just from looks. I could be wrong, but it does not look like it's made the gains that the other coins have made. So if we draw a Fibonacci extension, yeah, we're well below the 50%. So right there, that tells me that the performance is not great. And you can tell here with the volume decreasing that there is most likely some bearish divergence. Let's just take a look at RSI. And yep, there is bearish divergence. But we do see some bullish things. Let's talk about the bullish indicators. Like a lot of the coins in the market, and Pumpeye has been pointing this out very, very well over the past few days. There are some of these cup and handle plays going on. So if we go into the 4-hour, it's a very ugly cup and handle. So you know what? I would actually not, it doesn't matter. The target is the same, but I would look at this more as a inverse head and shoulders. It makes no difference, guys. The target is the same, but just because it's prettier, I'm going to draw it as an inverse head and shoulders, essentially looking something like this. So it, this could obviously be, it's not that important, but sorry, it's the Mac. This could be here. We're out of the head and shoulders. We are testing the neckline, and hopefully from there we make a move. Now I'll start looking at lower time frames. As you can see, actually, before I move on, if you look at the VPVR, and this is the visible range VPVR, we could see that as you go up, the resistance decreases. So the upside potential for Link is there. From a fundamental analysis perspective, we mentioned, and we're going to always mention, it's always important that you combine your TA with your FA. Link is the oracle. I mean, if you say oracle, the first thing that comes to mind is Link. And it's not just an oracle, it's many other things. I'm not going to make it a course on Link, but Link is definitely one of those projects that is here to stay, has a lot of partnerships. It's definitely a project that is good to hold. And maybe this is a good time to get in. So we'll just analyze this a bit further by digging deeper. So if we go into the 4-hour chart, and by the way, going back to the daily, the technical target for this inverse head and shoulders, just very quickly, is about $50, $46, $47. So that's just the technical target of the inverse head and shoulders. Analyzing the short-term action right now, just to see if there's anything obvious that stands out. Right now, we don't see any bearish divergence on the smaller time frame, which we were seeing on the daily. So this is good. This is going to help us to get over the bearish divergence potentially that's on the higher time frame, and flip that. I'm going to see if there's any other channels maybe that we're traveling in, just to see if there's anything that we need to be paying attention to. And this is trial and error, guys. I mean, you're just trying to find a channel and see if it works, and just happen to spot this as a potential, as a potential channel. Why is my, excuse me, here we go. As a potential channel, this is a potential channel that we're traveling in. Well, if it is, that would be bad news because we would technically come back down. So it's just something to keep your eyes on. Market Cipher is showing us a buy signal here, and we can see that there's a bullish action, bullish candle, and there's plenty of room for this candle to grow without entering into any bearish divergence on the smaller time frame. So all in all, I would say that Link it's a good time to get into it, especially that we were saying earlier that the market is currently stable. The Bitcoin is currently stable, and being stable buys us that additional upside on alts. So if I was to enter a position on Link, if that's your question, if you want to know what position you would want to enter, if it's spot, just enter your position, and Link is one of those projects that you can hold without much concern. But if you were entering into a leverage position, the target, or not the target, but the position would look something like this. So we'll find out the upside, but the downside would be somewhere here, and you would want to get at least a 3-to-1 risk ratio when you're entering into these kind of positions. Now let's see what a 3-to-1 risk ratio buys us. If this is the ABC we've seen on all the other projects, and this is the start, then on a 4-hour larger cycle, we would be saying that this is 1, this is 2, and now we're going to be looking for 3, 4, and 5. So how do we find those? We do our Fibonacci, Fibonacci extension. We'll do it from 1 to 2. Okay, and the target is actually for a Fibonacci extension 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ideal target, guys, and this is just textbook target. There's a lot of other things to consider. Is 1.618, which happens to be the all-time high. Okay, so this is a nice confluent target to put up for Link. The fact that it's the exact textbook target of Elliott wave theory is the all-time high. That's actually a very confluent thing. And the fact that we have this inverse head and shoulders that is currently playing out, could be a fake out. We'll see. The target for that inverse head and shoulders is lower. It's somewhere here. So if you wanted to play this really, really safe, you would be targeting this area. I would actually put it a little bit below that area into this pocket right here. And I would target 45. And that would give you a risk to reward ratio of 3 that we're looking for before. This is a safe play, especially if this is, because the fake out looks like it already happened, fake down, I should say. So we broke above. Then this is what Harry was talking about earlier. If we break out, we broke back in and we made it back in, there's that 75% chance. I think this is a perfect example of how this can happen. And we can go back and retest this area right here, which we have a lot of price action. And as we go up, like I said, we see less resistance, followed by a lot of resistance close to the 48 before you go back to the all-time high. So if you're going on a long leverage position, that would be the play right here. Any other questions on Link?
I might go buy some.
Okay.
Do you know what? I was thinking the same thing.
What else was there?
So we've also had a request for Atom BTC on Binance.
BTC we've already done. Oh, Atom dash BTC.
Atom.
Sorry.
The Atom
Okay.
BTC chart on Binance.
All right.
Might be finding that one of the other ones there that came up as well is what do we think about metaverses and things like network and
It's the future.
we love them.
So guys, it's the future. Okay. Just think back at a certain point in time, there was this coin that was invented on the internet called BTC. And people thought, what the hell is that? It's like, what am I really buying? It's this fake digital coin. What does it really mean? How could it be worth something? How does that make sense? Well, today BTC is worth what it's worth, and we all know the story. Well, now there's this digital metaverse where people are, or projects are spending a lot of money on art and on land. And this land is actually real estate that in the future will be used both on a PC and in VR, using VR goggles, where you can actually step away from your real life if you're sick of it and enter the metaverse and actually go and hang out with people and play games all online in this alternate reality. And if you look at the graphics, if you look at the art, if you look at the amount of money that's pouring into the field, you would be doing yourself a disservice not to take a small part of what's going on. Because at the end of the day, for sure, it is speculation. It's currently the hype. It maybe in a year won't be. I doubt it very much. Just look at projects like Star Atlas, look at NetVRK. By the way, I'm very proud to announce that Crypto Society and VRK are now strategic partners. And we are looking to work with them on a couple of different things. But the NFT market space, whether it's land, whether it's stupid Solana looking monkeys or whatever, is currently booming.
You love them.
Doesn't mean I do.
Bilo has become addicted to NFTs.
It is quite addictive. It is quite addictive. But you got to be so careful because it is pure speculation when it comes to those, 20 a day minted NFTs. But when you're looking at projects like NetVRK, Star Atlas, where there's a real vision behind it and there's a real use case, it's different from those, degen NFTs. Those degen NFTs, it's like just go to the casino, put your money on red, and it's really that. You can do very well or you can get ruined. So once you go into those degen type NFTs, just bear in mind and make sure you're happy to, just understand that you could just lose all your money very, very quickly. But you could also make a lot of money. Pumpeye knows people. You can talk a little bit about it, Pumpeye, maybe if you want, that made serious money with NFTs. And I mean serious money. Go ahead, Pumpeye. Maybe you can talk a little bit about it.
Oh, I don't really have that much to say, but yeah, I do know a few people that have made that have bought or that have minted NFTs for like 1 to 6 Solana, and they've sold them on for like $14,000, $28,000. So obviously that's rather a big markup. So there is some good money to be made, but I think it's a case of knowing what you're looking at, knowing whether the team is a non or whether they're a known team. For a start, I think that's probably the biggest thing, and then checking the rarity of the NFTs that you're minting once you've minted it, because obviously it's a bit potluck. And doing
the thing
before you do it, I think, is probably the key. Rather than
absolutely, and you've got to figure: are you buying NFTs to make money, or are you buying NFTs because you want to hold it? Now, I'm buying NFTs because I don't particularly understand the non-gaming, the non-metaverse stuff. I'm buying NFTs to hold them and to keep them. I'm not going to sell them. So the price I pay is the price I pay. That's it. And that's only to have a digital view of myself or whatever else like that. I think some of the other influencers call it flexing or whatever else. I'm just buying them for me, not selling them on. And in that case, it's not a waste.
In that case, Dave, how are you going about choosing these NFTs that you're buying if you're buying them to keep them? What are you looking for?
I pick things out of my life, and I see if a particular NFT reflects that.
So you've NFT'd your wife?
Well, man, I couldn't afford that NFT.
Not again.
But no, not again. There's certain things in my life and different words or places or things like that mean stuff to me, and I look for NFTs that actually match that, and I buy them to keep them, nothing else. And that's a different play from buying them to flip them. And it all goes quiet.
And it all goes quiet. Bilo, how are you choosing your NFTs?
Sure.
I think you're just going on there and going, I like the look of that stupid looking bear or that shark that's got no teeth. Or
I'll tell you. It's actually, it started out being FOMO, because I saw all these people making money. So I'm like, you know what? I want to make money too.
Sorry, that was,
that
was my fault, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. So I went on and I started doing a little bit of social media research, because really that's all it is. How popular is the project? How many Twitter followers do they have? Is there a lot of activity on Twitter? Is there a lot of hype on Twitter? Is there a lot of hype on Discord? Okay, what does the art look like? Who's backing the project? Who's actually tweeting about the project? Are they big influencers? Are there big people with a lot of following that like the project? It's really that simple when it comes, at least to my strategy on selecting NFTs. Now, we also know at the same time, it's not that hard to have a massive Twitter following that is fake. You can pay for it. So you got to go a little bit further. And
I know someone that's done this.
Have you? Okay. Yeah. Well, maybe
you also know of him, Bilo, to be fair.
Oh, okay. I think I know who you're talking about. So I was about to, just here, perfect segue to this conversation. I was about yesterday, there was two NFT projects that were on my radar that I was gonna maybe buy. One of them was called the Solana Blizzards. What do you call that? Salamanders. The Salamanders, and the other one was the Solana Pigs. Jesus Christ. And I was telling Pumpeye, okay, the Salamanders, I'm looking at this and I'm like, it just doesn't feel right to spend that kind of money on a freaking lizard. I just didn't feel it. So I didn't end up going for it. And luckily, and thank God I didn't, because they rugged, guys. Today, it's all over Twitter. So the salamander's rugged. Okay. The other one was the pigs. And I'm just looking at this thing and I'm like, I was about to do it. I set my timer. I connected my wallet. I joined their Discord. I saw that there was, not a great amount of hype, not a lot of, there was like 8,000 people on the Discord and all this, but like, there's just something that just didn't sit right with me. So I started reading a little bit more about the project, like you should. And I'm looking and I'm like, what's their roadmap? What do they want to do? Well, their roadmap is buy our pigs for 5 Solanas, Solana being at $150. That's $750 for a JPEG of a pig, which the quality of the art was really nothing to talk much about. And the future roadmap was they were going to have a shop which clothes the pig. And if you own a pig, you'll get a 20% discount. So it's like, I just didn't go for it in the end. I just felt like, what is that? Like, it makes no sense. Now, I could have made a big mistake. You could see maybe the floor price on the price floor on pigs quadruple. I mean, I don't know. But definitely there are quality NFTs out there and they are art. And very important that, in my opinion, very important that they have strong backers and influencers in the space that want to, for whatever reason, be associated with the project. I mean, one very good example of this is the Aurori project. I tried to mint an Aurori. I mean, I don't even know if I'm pronouncing it right, but it's linked to a game. First of all, it's built again on Solana. It's very nice now, the NFT market on Solana, because it's cheap. It costs pennies to mint something. On Ethereum, we know we know the story. But go on Twitter and see what Anatoly, the CEO of Solana's, profile picture is. I mean, if that's not enough to make you want to buy it, I don't know what is. That's his profile picture. It's an Aurori character. So it's, for me, aside that Aurori is going to have a use case for these NFTs and a game, and there's a storyline behind it, and there's a whole thing. Just having the CEO of Solana post that as his profile picture, unfortunately, it's shallow maybe, but good enough to go buy one. I didn't buy one because I was hoping that when NFTs were dropping, and they were dropping over the past few days, I don't know what the problem was. I think there was a problem with the secondary marketplaces. There was a few glitches. I was hoping it would drop some more, but in the end, I missed the boat. And today, the price floor is a lot higher. Doesn't mean I won't eventually end up buying in, because it has a use case. It has a good project behind it. NetVRK, we're talking about NetVRK. NetVRK are selling, there's private sales and there's public sales like anything else, different lots of land in their metaverse. And the metaverse, think of the metaverse as this digital space. Close your eyes, go into this VR goggle type, futuristic scenario where you're an avatar walking through the metaverse, and you can go hang out with your friends and have a digital coffee, or go learn how to do TA in a building that's specific for education. You can attend university, get your degree in whatever you want on the metaverse. That's the future. That's what's going to happen. You will have this alternate reality life that is purely digital, where you're able to do anything and everything that your mind can muster up in that metaverse. So it's hard to wrap our minds around because we're not used to this. It's new, but it is the future, and anything and everything will be accessible to you.
And for anyone that hasn't seen it, go see Ready Player One. It's on Netflix and everything else like that. That's roughly what it will be like.
Okay, cool. I haven't seen it. I have seen it advertised, but I haven't seen it.
It's a really good film, by the way.
I've heard that like using an Oculus Rift, once you've used it, you get pretty hooked on that, and that's going down that line, isn't it?
Yeah, we're gonna get honestly, it's for my son one for Christmas.
Absolutely.
But yeah, It was my missus that actually brought it up, not me, believe it or not.
Wow.
So so we're heavily into gaming and stuff like that, and this is where crypto for me is changing into what I'm interested in outside of work and outside of other things as well. Crypto, I've always been interested in crypto for the last 4 years. Crypto is now going to the level where I can really get excited about it.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot more use case for everything, isn't there? It's gone from the last bull run of it being chucking darts at ICOs and there being limited use case to this time round. Actually, there's a lot of projects that are building that have a lot of use case that are going to change the world.
So back to TA for a minute. Atom BTC. First of all, and that's just my personal opinion, I have a hard time doing meaningful TA on a BTC pair because it's like you have two moving targets, two variables. So if I look at this chart and I forget that I'm looking at a BTC pair, it looks like shit. I mean, there's no better way to put it. It looks like shit. Get out. But I don't know what Atom USDT looks like. So let's just for fun, take a look at Atom USDT and see if it paints a different picture. And what I just said is contrary to a lot of people in crypto. A lot of people trade the BTC pair. But when you look at a chart that looks the way that chart looked, I mean, there's nothing bullish on that chart. It looks bearish. It looks like it's going to go down some more. And it will go down some more if Bitcoin makes higher highs and continues on its way up. So if you're looking to profit out of trading Atom Bitcoin, you won't. You will only be losing Bitcoins, not gaining them. Because the lower that price goes, just means the spread between Bitcoin and Atom is increasing and increasing and increasing. And if your goal is to accumulate BTC, that chart doesn't look like it's going to help you. If I look at Atom,
Bilo, can I just add to that actually, if you were looking to accumulate Bitcoin through Atom, then the time to have done that would have been before this point where
when Bitcoin was cheap.
But not just that, but also before this point that we're at now, where it's possible that Bitcoin is about to make an explosive move. Yeah.
So I'm sorry. I hope I'm not discouraging you, but it doesn't look good. And even the USDT pair does not look good. I mean, you see most coins, guys. And I was having this conversation again yesterday with a few people, actually. We marry coins for whatever reason. We fall in love with coins and we hold on to them. I did something that was difficult for me yesterday. I sold some Ocean. I sold a decent bag of Ocean yesterday. And it's not because I don't like the project. It's not because I don't believe in the project. I believe in the project and what they're doing, in their technology, in the minds behind Ocean and in their future roadmap. But purely from an economical perspective, I'm looking at it and I'm like, since I've held Ocean, projects have done 100x. And Ocean has done what? 2x? It's great. 2x is fantastic. But in crypto, when you're seeing everything else pump, you just have this opportunity cost. And the reason I held Ocean all this time, and I still hold it, guys, I didn't get rid of all my Ocean. I just got rid of a few. The reason that I held it all this time is because I really like the project. But when you need to grow your portfolio and to accumulate wealth, you have to break away from this notion that this is really nice and I really, I bought it a long time ago and I like it and I've held it all this time. Does it make sense to sell it now? Always look at the faster moving train. What's the faster moving train right now? Big guess. Solana. We've been talking about it over and over again. Solana and associated projects are a very fast moving train at the moment, with very, very high potential for upside. Potential that we're just not seeing on projects like Ocean, unfortunately. It doesn't mean Ocean is not a good project. It doesn't mean Ocean is going to dump. It just means I'd like to make money faster. And that's why I'm going to shift it into something that's moving faster. This is the same thing for Atom here. I mean, good project, a lot of potential. A lot of things are going to come to it. But what are you holding it for? Are you supporting Atom because you really like them and you want to help them out, or you want to help yourself out? That's the question you have to ask yourself. Why am I holding this project? What is the potential for the project to increase my wealth? Because at the end of the day, we're trading for wealth. We're not trading for anything else. I think. Sorry, but that's my view on this. What else?
What else? What else? Do you know?
EOS and BCH, I think, were also requested a bit earlier on.
Apparently, Phantom is pumping. I don't know. I've just seen it on on some announcement channel. Not to interrupt.
Let me just take a look. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We were discussing this yesterday, weren't we, Bilo?
Yes.
Nice.
Damn it. Well, let's see if this channel.
Lines, Bilo.
Let's see if this channel works. Man.
Can you make that bigger?
But remember what I was telling you yesterday, Pumper?
What's that?
Remember I was telling you I wanted to go down to here so I can buy it. Remember?
That's all right. There's bearish divergence.
It didn't go. But it didn't go.
Bilo, it's making lower lows on the or lower highs on the RSI anyway, so you might get that chance yet.
Yeah, but I was doing it yesterday too, and it didn't.
And actually, do you know what? I'll tell you that from my experience, the little that it is, the way that has only come down halfway before coming back up to retest the top of that channel, I think it's going to break out sooner or later. I think it's if you don't manage to come down to retest the bottom of the channel again and you hit halfway down or thereabouts and then come back up, then likelihood is that it's gonna break through pretty soon by the looks of it. What's your targets for FTM? And do you own any? And if not, why
I don't.
not?
That's what I was saying yesterday.
He was trying to convince me and him yesterday not to buy it, and I did, and I flipped it.
Let's see what happens. I mean, it's not very clear on the daily at all. Pumpeye, what is this telling you here? Nothing. I thought it was converging. It's not converging.
It's not. I can't remember what the red histogram is, unfortunately.
Well, from a selfish perspective, all I can hope for is a rejection here and back down to about $1. I wanted to buy it here. I mean, but again, you know, I don't know enough about Phantom. It's been discussed a lot in crypto society, and I didn't really pay attention to it. It's my fault, but yeah, I don't have much to say from an FA perspective. I don't know what I'm talking about. So if anybody else does and has anything intelligent to share, please do.
There is no sign of intelligent life here.
Buy the dip.
Buy the bloody dip.
Is there a dip?
It was yesterday, yeah. It was just above $1 yesterday. So it dipped to, it bounced at 1.004 yesterday. So it was just above where Bilo wanted to buy it.
That's okay. So EOS looks decent. EOS
That's displaying the cup and handle, isn't it?
Yeah, it looks decent. What's the all-time high? Yeah, we're still a ways off. So again, in terms of performance compared to other projects, it's not definitely not outperforming anybody. There is a lot of bearish divergence at the moment, and we're entering into a resistance cluster here. Make that red to scare you, but there is a significant resistance cluster here. If you're holding it, it's not a time to sell. It's not a time to buy if you want to buy it, because if you're holding it, let's say you bought it somewhere here. If you bought it here, you're in profit. This really looks like right now a cup and handle more than anything else. I don't think I need to draw it, but just in case, so that anybody watching that doesn't know what a cup and handle is can see. So this here is the cup. This here is the handle.
Oh, that's beautiful, Bilo.
Thank you, sir.
I was just waiting for you to sing "I'm a Little Teapot."
I'm a little hot. And the target for the cup and handle is somewhere around here, which is confluently enough a previous high. I would call this wave 3, 4, and then 5, ABC. So top of wave 3, previous wave 3. I'll change the color so you can actually see this. But yeah, it's looking decent. I hope that answers your question. And then there was what? There was BCH?
BCH, yeah. And just for that, I don't like EOS at all.
Bilo.
But that's not from a TA.
Bilo, you know the that cover that I made that I showed you earlier, and you said they're all
Yeah,
shit.
and EOS on it.
I think most of them have been mentioned.
Yeah.
How's XRP doing? There's even a cup and handle on the RSI. Look, beautiful.
Yeah. Bitcoin Cash. Bitcoin Cash was the first crypto project that I bought when I entered crypto.
Nice. Do you know
Ask
what
me
mine
how
is?
much I paid. Ask me how much I paid for it.
How much did you pay for it?
3,000 something.
What?
Mm-hmm.
No, that's criminal.
I didn't know a thing about trading. I didn't know a thing about crypto.
Do you still
It
own it?
wasn't. Yeah. No.
Do you know what mine was?
Tell me.
V-Chain at 1 cent.
Really?
Yeah.
So you're a multi-billionaire, aren't you?
I wish. I just didn't put enough into it. Although, to be fair, it's doing well, what I did put into it, because I still hold it. I've taken profit a couple of times, but I still hold quite a bit. And I'm expecting big things from them. I think it's... V-Chain is going to $2 at some point. You wait and see.
Sometime.
Yeah.
One day. Where's the head and shoulders in here? Do you remember?
It could be on the where the
Where it's
paintbrush is. Oh, there. No,
Got it,
it's
got it,
there.
got it.
It's on that
So
one that you
whoever's
clicked on.
asking for Bitcoin Cash, there's a very clear looking head and shoulder. Oh, inverse head and shoulders here. On a small time frame, whose target is, for the time being, $700, $800. But if you look at the bigger picture, this is a double. This looks like a nice double bottom here, which is gone. But this could also be this cup and handle scenario, and the cup and handle scenario, or large inverse head and shoulders, puts us at a target of somewhere here, which is back at around $1,000. And then from a retracement perspective, just to see how much confluence we can have on all this, it's 0.5. So it's interesting.
Nice.
It's interesting. But again, $1,000 being the target, $1,000 being the target, that's like 36% away from here, which is nice. Don't get me wrong. 36% is nothing to sneeze at. But I mean, go back to Solana and yeah, enough said. What else?
Bilo, can you have a look at UTK? Because you love it.
I love UTK. Here we go.
you can just go to my portfolio, to the pump port.
UTK. Okay. So guys, my very esteemed, respected, and loved colleague PumpeyeTheTraderMan has pointed out in Crypto Society that we have...
Do it as an arc. It's easier for you.
Nah, this is nicer. Not cool.
You just like to show off your artistic ability, don't you?
We have this cup and handle going on.
That looks
And he
like a pair
also,
of buttocks that are just a bit of an angle.
one of them is higher than the other.
Yeah.
And he also pointed out that there are several ways to look at this chart. And I want you to see that I pay attention when you speak, Pampaye. And that you could be aggressive and go long here, or you can play it safe and go long here. How's that, Pampaye?
That's very true.
And he also said that the target for this bad boy is
A not so straight
here.
arrow.
This is the target.
Yeah. That's pretty close to my target.
So if Pampaye is right,
$1.25, I think I said.
if Pampaye is right, and he's usually right, that's a 3x almost, 2.5x.
Do you know what's
So,
going to really
again-
upset me, right? Is if Bitcoin now decides it's not going to continue up, and all of these cup and handles are broken.
But it
And we
doesn't have to
we ended
continue.
up going down by the same amount instead of up.
Oh, but joking aside, I mean, it really does. You don't want Bitcoin right now to continue up. You just want it to stay stable. You just want it to fluctuate 1,000 up, 1,000 down. That's when you're going to see these pumps happen.
Yeah.
So, guys, we were talking earlier about perspective and what's worth it and what's not worth it. When you look at targets, we were looking at Bitcoin Cash before. I mean, I don't know much about UTK, but purely from a TA perspective, if I don't look at the FA for it, and there's no bad news, no bombshells coming.
I'm just showing on your chart, by the way, that there is a
Sure,
line
no.
of very badly that there is a line of resistance, however, that could be paid attention to here that we might struggle with a little bit.
Yeah. But I guess just the point that I'm really trying to make here is always look at the potential of your investment across the board. Don't just look at one project and say, okay, it looks good. Your money should go where you have the most chances of achieving profit. And not
Absolutely.
just profit like in terms of 20, 30, 40%. We're talking about 2, 3, 4, 5x and so on. So when you're comparing, if you had a whatever, just for argument's sake, $1,000 to spend, and you're not sure where to spend it, look at the projects and narrow down the ones that have that potential for a 3, 4, 5x versus a 20, 30, 40%, which again, nothing to sneeze at, but just the way of looking at things.
Look at the news. Look at the projects that have done really well and have been hit by that drop from Bitcoin, and where they are now. Whether you still think that they're going to pump from this point, whether there's hype around them. For example, like the Kasama parachain auctions and the DOT parachain auctions that will be happening. All that sort of stuff. That's what your gauge is, because if something's already done 100x, like Solana, as much as it's got upside and it could potentially still do a 12x from here, as Bilo pointed out earlier, by the market cap of Ethereum, maybe not this bull run, but it's still possible for it to do a 12x from here. However, it's already at the top, so from a trader's wisdom perspective, then you should be looking at projects that are still yet to do that 100x. So maybe, as there's a lot of hype around Solana at the moment, maybe you should be looking at the projects that are launching on Solana, because they're also going to receive that same kind of hype. Do you agree, Bilo?
Yes and no.
100% I do.
I agree with you, yes and no. I agree with you in the sense that we should be looking at the other projects and be cautious around the all-time highs, because we are in price discovery. But I don't think that Solana is at a point where it won't continue strong to the upside. I think that there's still a lot of strength to the upside, and not necessarily in the next bull cycle. I think you'll be surprised. I think we'll all be surprised, and
It's going to melt faces.
that's how I feel about it. It's just phenomenal. It's a phenomenal blockchain. It's in every respect.
I want it to go back to $1.
Yeah.
Why can't it go back to $1?
Though to put a bit of, not all of us, because we're all really bullish on Solana. When Star Atlas launched, it did bring Solana to its knees.
Yeah.
In terms of how many X's it did. Hello?
Dave, did you mean the network?
Yeah, the network, it brought it to its knees when it launched. There was that much interest, even with a really fast network like Solana.
Yeah.
It brought it to its knees at that
Yeah.
point. They're addressing that and everything, which is good because they're learning from that. But
Yeah.
Solana isn't infallible.
Yeah, of course not. No. I mean, I'm not suggesting it is. But I mean, imagine if they would have launched on Ethereum. What would have happened?
I'm actually
It
interested.
would have worked. It's just really slow.
Yeah.
I'm actually interested to see what happens when a super project like Star Atlas launches on Cardano. Because from what I've read recently, they're struggling with a few things, and I think that with Solana being so fast and it still being brought to its knees with the Star Atlas launching, then if that kind of magnitude of project was to launch on Cardano, then it it could fold like a cheap paper aeroplane.
We'll see.
Indeed, we will.
I think Cardano, and we've discussed this a few times. I mean, the reason they haven't really gone through with anything yet is just because they're testers more than they are let's try and see what happens. So the problem with that is, indecision sometimes costs more than wrong decisions, and they've run out of time in terms of joining the party, and so people might just get fed up and say, you know what, it's enough.
I put a bit of a I put a flippant comment in there today. I think I did it yesterday as well about Cardano. Cardano is so much. If you look at it like cars, Cardano are busy trying to perfect the petrol engine, where everyone else has moved on to hydrogen, hybrid, and electric.
Yeah. Something my strong sense of human reading intuition tells me you like to use cars in your metaphors.
I do. I like cars.
It's
but
very
yeah,
subtle, very subtle though. It's very subtle. I picked up on it.
But in defense of Cardano, so I sold I sold the remainder of my bags of Cardano the other day. Everything I sold a lot. It's not because I don't believe in Cardano. I believe in other blockchains will get me a bigger return.
Yep,
and that's where it's going. It's not that it's a bad project or anything else like that. We'll see when smart contracts go out. I'll go buy more ADA at the point where I need ADA to pay for gas for the projects on Cardano. That's where I'm changing my outlook.
Yeah, that's a pretty good way of looking at it.
Falls in line with what we've been preaching. That's exactly what it is.
Oh, Bilo, I mean, I haven't looked at this chart at all, but fancy taking a look at VThor. The gas on VeChain. VeChain's been doing really well. Generally, VThor tends to pump when VeChain is. No, it's okay.
What do you want to see? Sorry, what's the
VTH OR? No, just VTH.
B as in Bob or V as in
V for Victor. TH.
Okay.
No
okay.
E. No E.
Oh, VTOR. Okay.
Yeah. Sorry, VTHO. Sorry.
VTHO.
That's the one.
Is that the one? Okay.
I'll tell you what, today's is an all-encompassing TA, isn't it? It's good.
Yeah.
So what did you want to...
I just wanted to see how it was doing and what your analysis of it might be, because it tends to pump really well when VeChain's doing well, and VeChain's been doing well. So it's more exaggerated moves of what VeChain does.
Looks very similar to the chart we were just looking at with UTK.
Yeah.
Looks almost identical. Like a lot of the charts, like you pointed out, Pumpy, they were in this cup and handle formation waiting to happen. And yeah, interesting thing is it bounced here. This is the 200 simple moving average. So that's of some significance in terms of support. So if you were to go long at this stage, you would want to put your stop loss below the 200 SMA. And there is a buy signal here, which played out already, perhaps, on Market Cipher.
Not if it's
MACD
daily, I would.
MACD is turning up. It's looking good. There's no
Yeah.
bearish divergence to see.
There's also
it's
over a 2.5x to the all-time high.
Yeah. Yeah, it's looking good,
So
Pumper.
this is one of those things where you might want to take a look at VeChain's marketing and their roadmap and the news, and see what's coming up, see whether they've got any big events coming up, to see whether that could push the price up. Because this coin, as you can see, when it moves rapidly.
Yeah. I think that's about it. Unless there's anything else, I think we've had a good session today.
Yeah, indeed. Thank you very much. Thanks for your time, everyone. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks for everyone on YouTube.
problem.
If you guys, if you've joined us on the Zoom meeting, or whether you're on YouTube, please make sure that you smash the like button, that you give us a subscribe. We are live around the same time every week, or near enough every week, at 4 p.m. CET on a Sunday. Join us every week. We discuss lots of things. We're more than happy to answer any questions that you have, look at any charts that you'd like us to. And that's it from us. Cheers, guys.
Thank you.